I think it's more like the DNA of Twister is carried through.
I think it's a really good return to disaster movies.
Okay.
So many of the sequences looked great. I really liked a lot of it. It felt fun. There was a good mix of practical effects with CGI.
Looked really good.
I liked the third act was fun. If you feel it, chase it! That's right. Deadpool may have dropped a final trailer today, but that won't stop us from talking about Twisters. That's the sequel to the 1994 hit Twister. I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, we got John Costa.
Twisters!
We got Jessica Clemons.
Twisters!
Perfect. Now, before we get into it, Jessica, a Twister ruined your experience last night trying to see this movie. You want to tell us what happened real fast?
I hit a dog on
No,
my
how dare you?
How dare you? I'm joking, I did it. And if I did, you wouldn't see me today because I'd run away and cry hiding in a corner for the rest of my life.
Okay.
No, I went to the movie theaters. I spent too much money on concessions, as one does.
As you do.
As you do. Went to my seat, was so excited, watched one trailer, watched a second trailer, and then the entire theater went down.
You didn't even get into the movie.
No, the movie, yeah.
movie didn't work.
We watched the Hugh Grant A24 scary movie trailer.
Heretic?
Yes. And then once it hit the Pope trailer with the Pope dying with Ray Fiennes, in the middle of it, it just...
Interesting.
And it was the Dolby. I was there for Dolby, and it died. They spent 30 minutes trying to bring that up, and then eventually they got it to the Universal logo intro, but it would freeze.
Ugh.
It would freeze completely.
I think it was this
You know what?
IT infrastructure.
You think it's the IT infrastructure?
Yeah.
I think it's because it was a co-production between Universal and Warner Brothers. I've never seen that before in my entire life.
What do you
they
mean?
have both logos.
Yeah, they had both logos.
And I was like, what is happening?
That's
Yeah, because
interesting.
the
Aren't you guys supposed to
original
be
movie,
fighting?
the
But then
original
maybe
movie
it's
was
like
Universal. The original movie was Universal, but it wasn't Warner Brothers. The original one, was it?
I don't know.
You probably
Maybe
need help with
Amblin
Warner
has some kind of deal
I
or
think
something
it was
like that. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
But
I don't
Not
know.
important. It was just weird.
I felt bad. And there was only one other showing, and they were immediately like, you can go see the 11 p.m. showing at IMAX. We looked at the seats, because people still bought tickets for 11 p.m. IMAX. It was only the front row.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm honestly sure that everyone in this theater is rushing to that one that dressed up or did anything.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
And ironically, I was in that same theater.
You were.
The screening
And it
right
was
before
fine.
yours.
And it was fine?
I watched it, and it was fine. Yeah.
I'm so mad. What time was yours?
5.
I should win if I went at 8 because my friend got off work.
I said, this is technically for work, and so I will leave work at 4:30 and go see a movie.
I want you to know that I bought 2 hot dogs, and I ate them with the lights on in that theater.
no.
2 dogs?
Shut up, I was hungry.
Twins?
And twins! And I was spinning them
We
around.
got twins.
And
Glizzy
I was
twins.
so mad. I
Glizzy
bought
twins.
2 hot dogs. I was going to eat them.
That's
I
America.
saved them this is the first time I've ever saved concessions for the movie to start.
Excellent.
And the movie never started. So in broad daylight in that theater, I was going, and I unraveled the second one.
Oh, no. Well, Jessica, feel free to field some questions for us as we get into the
Yeah,
film
I
and we
will.
talk about it. I also saw it in Dolby. I went to a Wednesday night fan screening. The AMC does those early screens. That's nice. It was packed. People were hyped up for it.
Whoa.
Are we all here? We've all seen the original Twister.
I love the original Twister.
Made
Big
me
fans?
want to get into filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's not a joke. I love that movie so much.
It's good. I recently, last week, they put out the first 4K hard copy release of that movie. It's great. I recommend it. Pick it up. 4K UHD. Really clean. Looks great. Love the original movie. Saw it many times. Did the Twister experience many times at Universal Studios in Florida.
Ride or whatever you call that.
It was
the
like
Twister-
an
You stand
experience.
there and
Yeah,
shit
it gets
happens.
windy.
I did the Twister experience at the Burbank Theater. They had a little tunnel that you get into, and then you turn on the air.
You could not pay me to get into that COVID device.
It was
at
like
all.
that.
for
Well, I
sure.
got in it, and I was like, oh, I'm sure everyone's giggling, spitting, doing everything in it, and I was in there going, woo.
The Dolby theater I go to, our local one, it has like the chairs, obviously, and then it has the little walls in between each row have like a little plexiglass thing on the top, like a little
Yeah, they all have
4-inch thing.
Yeah.
And when every time when the movie starts and the lights go down and now the light is projecting from the screen, you can just
See all the greasy handprints?
all the smears on it. I'm like, this is so nasty.
This is crazy that you're bringing this up because I've sincerely considered bringing like a little bit of spray.
Yeah, it's just my area. Because you're watching the movie and constantly your eyes are drifting down. I'm like, oh god, that's nasty.
Then I'm like, that's crazy, John. That's insane.
What's crazy is none of the people working at the theater have ever been like, you know what? Let me just.
They're all busy teenagers. I used to work at a movie theater. Man, I was exhausted.
I will say right
in
now.
the morning when you get off of work.
No, I get it. I went to the AMC Town Center 6 to go see the Quentin Tarantino's last movie, and there was a cockroach that kept coming to my chair.
Yeah.
I went out.
It was eating your hot dog.
Yeah, it was
like, one of these bitches for me.
I said I could let this cockroach run around this theater if it was an hour and a half. But this is a 3-hour movie. So I went out, and the teenagers were like, I don't want to kill it. And I said, good thing that I'm the consumer. Like, someone better go in there and kill it.
I think that was Harvey Weinstein.
It was. This little girl, she said, I'll just go do it. She came in, and she grabbed it with a tissue. Like, it was like it owed her money.
Did she go...
I did see her do that after.
Now, this Twisters currently has a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty good.
The original Twister, I think, has like a 66%.
That's because no one's going to go back on Rotten Tomatoes and go, you know that movie?
100%.
They're not re-reviewing the movie. Understandable. The original movie, directed by Jean de Bont, a Dutch filmmaker who directed Speed right before this movie.
I fucking love Speed.
He was a cinematographer on a lot of movies. They let him direct Speed, and basically Hollywood's like, please make another movie because Speed was a big hit. Twister was a big hit. It did pretty well at the box office. Co-written by Michael Crichton, which again, that script for the original Twister is so good. And as we start talking about Twisters now, you know, I did like Twisters. I had a good time at the movie. I don't think it was as tight of a script as like Twister. I don't think the jokes in Twisters are as memorable as the jokes in Twister that I think kind of still get quoted and stuff. I mean, the cow alone, you brought up the cow already, Jessica, but like the cow alone was like such a cultural like kind of touchstone. It's the same cow.
Okay, that one.
I think it's the same cow. Because she says another cow.
What other Easter eggs are in the movie that's from the first one?
Well, so the thing, I think it's more like the DNA of Twister is carried through. There's like so many of that, like two cars on the same road are trying to like jockey with each other.
There's a lot of good, I think the director did a good job of doing the long establishing shots. You know, the first film has some beautiful shots of like actual weather. You know, both movies, all Twisters are CGI, covered. But I think both movies also they both filmed in Oklahoma. They both got real shots of like beautiful open sky with like nasty looking weather in it.
Does sorry.
And the cast has talked about for Twisters, like they would be filming and there would be like weather warnings and stuff like that, and they would experience like harsh weather.
Does I'm sorry asking all these questions.
No,
Does Glenn Powell kind of follow Carrie Ellis's character from the first movie?
No, I would say no. I think when you talk about like the DNA, right? Glenn Powell's character has a red pickup truck that I think is very similar to Bill Paxton's kind of truck. Early in the movie, they use a Dorothy 5 unit.
Yeah.
Now, the first Twister, they had 4 of the Dorothy units. We see all 4 of them in the movie. The students go to Muskogee State, which is the same fictional college that's in the first movie. They're working there, and they get their hands on this like old field unit named Dorothy 5, which is clearly like that's the DNA that you're talking about that relates to like the first movie. Kate has a line that's like where someone's like, "Glad you're back, Kate," and she's like, "I'm not back." Yeah. That's a thing Bill says a lot at the top of the movie. You know, all that kind of DNA is there. Bill Paxton's son has like a quick kind of cameo in the movie as the character at the motel.
That's cute.
But there's
looking
never
for the one-to-one. Yeah. It's probably David Cornsweet's character who is like corporate and boring.
Yeah,
David Cornsweet's in the movie?
Yes.
I did not even know that.
And he plays a very villainous character who is like so evil. His kind of final most evil line laughs in the thing. I don't know if he got laughs.
Genuinely, it's like I don't care about people.
Yeah, but it's played that way. It's played that way.
But is it laughs that were supposed to be kind of ironic?
Yes,
I think they know what they were doing, but it is a little cheeseball. It's a little cheeseball. There's also like another villainous character that he's working for who is literally like. I mean, it takes place in Oklahoma.
Might as well be Calhoun. From
he's a land baron. He's got a big bolo tie with his initial on it. He says, "Woo! we gonna make some money off these twisters,
right.
something like that.
And Gunpowder goes, do you even know who you're chasing for? And it's
you guys,
I'm chasing for that fucking clearly evil guy, the oil baron.
I've only heard, even from people online, not the greatest things about the movie, but a lot of people have said it's a really fun time, and you guys are making it sound like it's a very
and I will say every storm chase sequence was exciting and thrilling. I think the cold open of the movie is good. It sets some very high stakes.
Yeah.
See this movie in Dolby if you can, or the best sound in your area. Because in my theater, I'm not in those 4X seats with the water and the shaking, but in the Dolby, my seat was shaking for every
That's wild.
twister sequence. It was great.
This is someone behind you.
Yeah, that was
Brandon.
I will, before I ask John my follow-up question, I will say to the audience, Brandon is when it comes to critiques, Brandon's a very nice person.
Don't put me on blast.
I'm only saying that. I think you are an aggressive, kind of critiquer. Yes. And so that's why I know your opinion. Mm-hmm. I trust your opinions with movies too. So I want to hear what you didn't like about it. Or maybe what your parts were.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of the original movie, it's team of these lovable kind of scrappy guys who are having a good time. They're in it because they love it. They're also doing hard science and trying to obviously launch these Dorothy devices so that they can track storms better and get the early defense or the early warning system to be better or whatever, right? This movie, there's a little less of the data that they're trying to collect is being used for evil guy stuff, and the fun lovable people are just we're gonna put a rocket in a tornado and see what happens, and it's you still kind of want to follow the fun people, and not follow the stuffy people. And my biggest criticism for this movie, quite honestly, is that the lead is the most boring character in the film.
Daisy Edgar Jones is Kate?
Yep.
Her character...
She's just, so monotone the whole movie. Her arc is, kind of flat. Her arc goes from, being scared to, not being scared. But we don't see... We see her fear of tornadoes, one time. She doesn't have a ton of personality. And Brandon and I were talking earlier... Jo, played by Helen Hunt in the
that's what I was gonna ask about.
in the original, is so fucking cool. She's so fucking smart. She's on top of her shit. Everyone respects her. Everyone looks up to her. And I wanted that energy from this character, where she is the fucking badass, and we don't get that.
Do you think they were? Because this was coming through so hard in the damn trailers. Okay. Do you think they were leaning more romance than they were for the individual part of the characters? Because in the original movie, they each individual, even Philip Seymour Hoffman, these characters are characters. They
are fucking tongue out the whole movie.
Literally, I'm they all have individually their own what they're bringing to. Even the person that maps out where to go on the radio.
Rabbit.
So I'm but you can't. But you don't think people could watch this movie and remember every character and what they're supposed to be for, what their justifications are?
I do think the first movie suffers from, there are a lot of people in the caravan, and we remember Dusty, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. Rabbit, only because he has a line where it's Rabbit is good, Rabbit is wise. That's how I know his name. And the others I don't know, right? There's 4 or 5 other people that are there. There's the scared little kid who gets saved at the end by Jo. There's another guy who's just kind of there, and he gets hit in the head by a hubcap at some point. I think a lot of those characters we never learned about. We saw them interact as a group, and they got along well, and they were fun. We don't learn about every character. They kind of scaled down the amount of people, and we could spend more time learning about them. But again, they kind of throw in this storyline we don't really need. This is I equate it to the famous criticism of the movie Titanic, right? You have the ship sinking, and Billy Zane is chasing them around with a gun, and it's who cares? The ship is sinking, right? Who cares if you're gonna get shot? So it's I don't care about these machinations of these people when we're
100%.
chasing twisters. That's enough for me, and I agree with John that just make this movie about storm chasers, and I don't need this weird plot where any half-competent audience member can tell that something is going on with Anthony Ramos's company, and there's something they're hiding, and it's just get to it already. We'll move on. I think I was telling John about this. One of my criticisms is a fun thing about the first movie is the tactileness of everything, especially the Dorothy systems. They're very cool. They look cool. It's
real
like
props.
A slapdash piece of tech that like all these switches you gotta hit. I mean, the sequence of Bill trying to turn it on in the back of the truck is so long. It's like, guys, make it 2 switches. But in this movie, like the system that Anthony Ramos and his company are trying to use, this like PAR system, they're just these little things, and they don't look cool.
When you say these things, are they like the?
They're like
no, they're
little.
They're big guys. But like one of the things that Brandon and I were talking, it's inappropriate, I think, for us to like try to rewrite a movie because we don't know what happened, and we don't know what the notes are and all that kind of stuff. But here's we're gonna rewrite the movie. They have these things and they have to like anchor them to the ground.
Yeah.
In order for them to work, but they're like trying to like triangulate a tornado, and tornadoes, I don't know if you know this, move.
And they're unpredictable.
Like, right. And like, this pissed me off. She could like feel the tornado.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there, John.
And it really aggravated me.
Wait.
I had that instinct as well.
Really aggravated me. And then they kind of get away from that a little bit, and she is good with like using the radar system to predict things, and she is good at like genuinely doing analysis of the weather. But in the opening, it's just like, oh yeah, Kate, she can just tell, and it's like, fuck that.
Come on, no.
Okay, well, I want to fight back on that because the first twister, that is Bill. Bill is said many times. He literally goes out and picks up dirt and drops it, right? And they do something.
I didn't have a problem with the dandelion.
They do something similar to the dandelion here. Okay. And my first instinct too is to balk at that, John, because it is like, oh, okay, there's like a supernatural element of like, they're just good at X. But that's also why the movie is about them. Because like they are good at X, and like they are good at telling like what a storm is gonna do, and they can sense it. And like if you have a problem with that, that's fine, but that's movie making, dude. Like this is a character who is good at it, and that's why we're following them in this movie, because they're the best at what they can do.
Can I? No.
I just want what they're. Sorry, I gotta fight.
No, you don't have to fight.
This is the Matrix. We follow Neo in the Matrix because he's the best at it.
Sci-fi movie.
Well, I was also going to argue for both sides, because I was arguably going to say I think that's fine with Bill Paxton's character, but if it happened with the main character, that's the thing I don't like.
Bill Paxton is the main character.
Here's the thing.
Helen Hunt.
What Bill Paxton has in the original movie is that he is a trained meteorologist. He's been doing this for fucking decades.
And you were telling me he's a man, right? Is what you were saying before we went on.
Of course you would go there, just to diminish my argument. That's not fair.
I'm sorry.
In this movie, she's like a college kid who doesn't have any of this training. So when she gets to like the 5 years later thing, and she's like been through school, and she's like reading, the fucking Doppler and shit, like that all works for me. But it's the opening where she's just like, oh, I feel the tornado. And I'm like,
would it have been annoying?
That shit doesn't work for me.
Would it have been annoying if she kept coming back to it, though?
Yeah, it would have been.
Oh, okay. I was like, if it was like a weird spiritual thing the entire time, then I probably wouldn't hate it.
She's not
if it only
praying
happened
for
once, I would be irritated.
They explain later in the movie that she's been studying tornadoes her whole life, and she's a smart kid, and she figured it out. I agree that they're both younger. Both Glenn Powell's character and Daisy Edgar Jones' character are presented as younger than Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt were in their movie, which I think does make it feel a little odd that they're that good at what they do.
I agree. And at one point, she's like snickering at Glenn Powell's character because he's like a YouTuber or whatever, and then finds out that he's actually a studied meteorologist, and like he like earns her respect.
Former rodeo writer also.
Also that, and got kicked in the head by a bull a couple times. And it's just like,
okay, that's
you can't be like Miss Clairvoyance and then also be a dick to the guy who's like you think is untrained.
He was being a dick to her.
Respectfully, this is also a Twisters movie. Yeah. So I think they're gonna write some crazy. This is like Sharknado and expecting them to make sense. No offense to Twisters.
Again, I'm fine with.
I don't want to compare Sharknado to Twisters, but it's like it's Twisters. It's an action movie.
This isn't a documentary. Like a real movie about storm chasers would involve hours and hours of them sitting around and doing nothing, chasing storms that dissipate. But we want a fun action movie with at least 5 tornado sequences.
Sure.
So we're gonna follow the character who's great at picking a tornado every time, right? And that's why we're watching this movie.
Do you think this movie is good for just like a simple action?
I think it's a really good return to disaster movies.
Okay, yeah.
Something we haven't had a lot of, especially since my boy Roland Emmerich dropped out the game. He was like, I'm done. done. He's not dead. He's not dead, but
the moon fell and his career
the moon
died.
fell and he's done. I mean, he should have quit when he was ahead with 2012, but he came back from Moonfall and it was a big mistake. But we haven't had these like kind of good disaster movies. I think this is a good return to it. Again, I really think so many of the sequences looked great. I really liked a lot of it. It felt fun. There was a good mix of practical effects with CGI.
Looked really good.
I liked the third act was fun.
I have a bone to pick.
Oh, what's your bone to pick?
Is this with editing?
Can I, Brian?
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Hollywood directors.
Uh-oh.
Please, for the love of God, stop putting shots from fucking phones,
okay.
fucking GoPros, in fucking movies.
Okay.
You can have characters that are YouTubers and you don't need to show phone footage. You can cut to a nice camera, even though they're filming on a phone. It's not going to take us out of the movie. What takes us out of the movie is when we see over-sharpened garbage and like weird, shitty quality shots in our $200 million blockbusters. Other than that, it looked fucking great.
Looked beautiful.
It looked great. And then there was a scene in a flashback where a guy has a camcorder and he spins around 6 fucking times and everyone's going to throw up.
Very rude.
It's insane.
Very rude.
With the footage with the GoPros and the phones, is it like black on the sides and we have just like...
No, and
No,
it's not. And that's
it's
the.
not.
But I think that's the problem. It doesn't look like... It looks like they're trying to make cell phone and GoPro footage, but it's not actual cell
I
phone
will
and
say,
GoPro
when I
footage.
did the breakdown for the Twisters movie trailer, they had there's one person in the audience that's listening to Glenn Powell's character. Is it still the same?
They have the vertical, the person is filming vertical and then they cut to the footage and it's horizontal.
That was a part that they were doing in the trailers too.
I mean,
they were
Boone has
messing
his
up.
camera.
But
Yes.
no, the
Yes.
guy in the audience was holding the phone up, and it's the lock screen of a normal iPhone. There's nothing recorded. So I was like, oh, maybe they'll edit this.
But I mean,
post by
that's
Superman.
more real than anything, right? It's like someone holding.
Grandmas that are like,
Yeah, trying to take footage.
The shot of the tornado.
I mean, we've all seen people
Mima,
like
come on.
at concerts with their iPads with a cover that's
my
like
mom.
unfolded,
That's
like
my mom.
recording a
That's my
concert.
mom, and do not come for
Come
her
on.
like that.
Well, put it down, ma'am.
Would you recommend people go? I know that it's like 2 hours. It's a little over 2
Yeah.
hours. Would you recommend people go see it for fun?
100%. If you want to see this movie at all, go see it in a theater.
You think
That's
okay.
very true.
It will not play as well as home.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Twitch,
I don't know.
Rockstars, don't know.
Okay.
Don't do this if you don't want to. I would say a little bit of a libation
Oh, boy.
could help.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
Oh, yeah,
wish I had
100%.
gone in with a little something or a
AMC
little
is
something.
serving like a twisted tea. I
Oh,
think a
nice.
little vodka and
I-
iced tea.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I will
Send that
say-
shit. It'll be more fun.
My screening, I know for sure every person there was under the influence because they were coming out of the bar
the
part.
elevator that I got off of to get into the theater, I was like, it's loud as shit. in
I think
here.
it is a movie for
It's a
a
party
group of
movie.
friends. You guys pre-gamed.
Yep.
You guys that either got high or drunk, and you show up. You're gonna have a time of your lives. Because it did feel like, were people loud in your theaters?
Yeah, they got
I
rowdy.
wish that they were. I wish my theater was more into it.
Okay, I
It's
think
hard
people are into it.
during the storm. It's loud. It's hard to tell if people are getting like really.
Okay.
But there were some fun sequences, and again, that cold open is scary. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of on the edge of your seat a
This
little bit.
is the cold open.
it really
with
surprised me.
It's with Kieran and Shipka.
Shipka?
Yeah.
So they die. I assume.
Well,
oh,
3, 2, 1. Spoiler alerts. Yeah, she's in a car with like 3 other people,
Yeah.
and they all die in like a pretty horrific way. And
you
it's-
watch like the.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and like it's a good warning because they go on an underpass, and do not do that during a tornado. Don't go under a bridge underpass.
They literally go, underpasses are the most dangerous place to go in a tornado. And then they all go, let's go to the underpass.
They had no other choice, but like it was a bad idea.
Jesus Christ.
There's good educational things in this movie. They remind you about certain things in this movie when it
No
comes to
talk
tornadoes.
about climate change. Boo.
Yeah, there should have been more
Could've done
talking
better.
about climate change.
Could have done better. I know you're marketing this to people in Oklahoma and they don't want to hear that kind of stuff, but come on.
They're the ones in
Be
Tornado Alley.
respectable.
Tornado
Sneak
Alley
it
is
into
getting
the
larger.
movie.
It is
Sneak
moving
into the movie.
to the
Maybe we
east.
can convince people.
I do recommend people, if you want to see it though, definitely go see it in a movie theater because it was a fun time.
Agreed. Neither Brian.
Dang, dude.
Brian didn't see it either.
No.
Neither Brandon and I saw it in 40X, but hearing that that's like a fun experience.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
if you enjoyed that,
and the water blasting at you.
I don't know for 2 hours.
Yeah, I don't know.
After the first hour, I get
like I said, a normal Dolby will have
see a movie in 40X, and we both walked out of it, and we were like, "That's a mistake that we'll never make again." And then I saw the Mario movie in 40X, and it was great.
That would make sense. We saw The Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife, which surprisingly there was a lot of action in it. So every 30 seconds was us being like shaken and mist blown in our face. After the hour, I was just like, okay, my back. I was like, okay. I don't think I want to see Twisters. In
I would not.
Nonstop.
Again, enough shaking in a Dolby. You'll be fine. Did you have a favorite sequence from the movie that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I think that the twins sequence was my favorite.
Yeah,
because it was like it
when
showed,
he screams it.
That was when her like clairvoyance shit about Twisters turned into like her just being an experienced person, because she's able to like literally physically see how the wind is changing.
Yeah. It's not clairvoyant. It's like a Sherlock-esque. I can see the winds changing.
That works for me. That's like experience, right?
When they showed it on the
That's not
Wii,
like vibes and feelings.
Yeah.
So when they show that, it's like a beautiful shot of the Wii, and she's like, okay, she makes a snap judgment and does that, and like then Glen Powell goes over here and she goes over here, and I liked that sequence. That was good.
I did like that. Yeah, I really like the cold open. Like I said, really fun. And then that final sequence, I think, is really cool.
It's good.
And it's kind of thrilling. And I like how they put it together. You know, it didn't feel schmaltzy. It felt like earned. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I
it has a good kind of beginning, middle, and end, that sequence.
Yeah. But again, I think the movie is just like overwriting itself a little bit. It doesn't need all the kind of twists and turns, no pun intended, that it's throwing at us. Like, just give us a movie of storm chasers and the danger that they're in, and like that's enough. Mm-hmm. I don't need this weird antagonist figure that's not getting me anything. I really like Anthony Ramos in this. Good. I think he has like a very great natural presence on film, but I think it really sticks out weird when other people aren't matching that. In an earnest way.
I can see that, and
like, he's very earnest and believable. And it doesn't feel like he's acting. It feels like he's just talking.
No.
Then you put him next to like David Cornsett, who's a fine actor, but is playing this like robotic cookie cutter antagonist, and it just feels weird.
It does seem from your guys' already review, the direction the director maybe gave the actors was a little crazy, a little kooky. Because I think that's why Anthony Ramos gets so many acting roles now, is because he's so good at just being like his New Yorker self.
Yeah, he's got a really good natural presence.
Next to Glen Powell and the Daisy.
I mean, Daisy Edgar-Jones is a British actor doing a very tough Oklahoma accent. Yeah, dude. And it's like, it's a lot. And fun. Also playing this kind of morose character who's dealing with demons quietly. Like, again, it's like, I don't need her.
The most surprising part to me was when the demons came out and started chasing her around her house.
Yeah. When the Twister opened the hell mouth, that was very strange. That was very strange.
That's so funny. I'm done.
There's a reference to the suck zone from the first movie. That was nice to hear.
Is that your nickname?
That's what they used to call me in college. You know what I mean?
Back in the day,
no cows. No cows joke, which was interesting. I thought for sure there would be like a cow sign or something like that.
Well, even they went to a rodeo.
They went to a rodeo, begging to pick up a cow. Yeah. Or like, pick up 20 cows. I don't know. Do something like that. Cow-nado would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think this is a good disaster movie. I don't know if I certainly don't think it'll have the cultural impact of the first Twister. But again, movies are very different now. Monoculture's dead.
They set up a sequel.
And I think
maybe I don't know if they'll get it, but
I think you could go further with this if you wanted to. Yeah. But I would love to see more disaster movies from Hollywood, because our world is a disaster. It's falling apart.
I think it's kind of hard. People are like,
because it's very real.
Yeah. No, 100%. And it takes a lot of research. Yeah. And I will say that was the best part about
no,
not
Twisters, for this movie.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a lot of research and science.
It's interesting you say that, because Twisters, when I did the breakdown, they did so much in-depth research on like storm chasers, that they had like an actual storm chasing company in Oklahoma. There was that little Easter egg of an actual meteorologist that's for Oklahoma News that does stuff, was in Glen Powell's scenes. Yeah. He's like one of the guys that's excited to see him. But I was like, they did do really good research, but I guess it might have not stuck the landing with some things. It is hard, but also again, it's a very niche subject. Like, there's not a lot of storm chasers out there, or people that do it for a living like they do. So it's like, you're only taking credibility from like like Five Guys.
Here's what I'll say. If you take Glenn Powell out of this movie, it is like a D-.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
he's
holds
great.
the movie together. He is so good. And I mean, I don't think we have had an action star or like a movie star. Glenn Powell's not quite like at the peak of like famous yet, but like he's gonna be there in 2 or 3 years. And like, I think this guy is like fucking electric. And if you take him out of that movie, it is like nothing. That movie needs him so bad.
Yeah, he's a very fun
great.
character.
He's
yeah.
great.
And again, I would just like to follow him and his crew in this movie. That's
I
all
want
need.
if he had if the YouTube channel was real,
I'd follow
it'd be
it.
so fun.
There are some storm chasers out there you can follow. They go live when they're like chasing a storm. It's very interesting. There's some videos of like people getting stuck in like the storms and really going through it and being
thanks.
scared.
No,
And like
thanks.
it's intense.
No, thank you.
But be safe out there, whatever you do. Final thoughts on Twisters. What would you give out of 5 Twisters? How many Twisters would you give Twisters?
3 Twisters.
3 Twisters out of 5?
That's a pretty good
Twisters.
score.
I think I would give
I
it.
have really high expectations.
You can give 2.5
Yeah.
Twisters if you want.
I think that.
I think 3 is fair. I might give it 4 Twisters.
That's crazy.
It really looks
That's insane.
good. I
It looked
mean,
really good.
I have my gripes with the script and the storytelling, but like, the action sequences were fun, and I
The
liked
type of
the
movies that I
Twisters.
would give 5 Twisters, I don't think are what.
I would give the original Twister 5 Twisters,
That's
Oh,
a
okay.
Twister.
Then I would give this.
and I would give this down to 4.
That-
That's how I feel about it.
All right.
Pick up that 4K UHD of Twister, guys. It's great. It's very fun.
I love the first Twisters. It's so.
It's a lot of fun. It's a tight little movie. Good Michael Crichton script. I really like it.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's
Outro
it for us today. Make sure to follow at Breakroom NR on all our social channels: Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Threads. We go live on Twitch sometimes, and you can talk to us in the chat and all that good stuff. We'll catch you next time. Late as Gators. Goodbye.